Banks are actually the most important buildings in the country. Even the Federal Reserve is actually a bank that makes loans and even has customers. But unlike any bank, company, or even presidents, the Fed has the power to create money. This makes sense. We all learned at least a little bit in school about where money comes from. But here's the biggest secret to the economy that I'm about to share with you. This secret will change how you see everything. From your paycheck to your credit card bill to your rental contract for your apartment. The secret is that every bank in the world actually has the power to create money from thin air. If you think this is crazy, then you haven't yet learned all there is to know about the banking system. That's okay, because they don't teach you this in school. And if everyone knew these secrets, ordinary people could start using these tricks and tactics to break the cycle of poverty. As Thomas Jefferson once said, quote, "I sincerely believe that banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies." So in this video, I'm going to teach you secrets that banks don't want you to know, and how you can use their own tricks and strategies against them to make you rich. The first secret that most people do actually know about banks is that savings accounts are scams. But if you don't believe me, take a look at your savings and checking account's interest rate. How much is it? I already know the answer. It's probably less than 0.5%, or at most around 1%, if you have a special high-interest savings account with a unique bank, like Ally Bank. Think about that. Your money in a savings account, the standard place every single worker and professional uses to store their money, only grows by 0.5% every year, while inflation is 2.5% a year these days. Sometimes even higher, depending who you ask. Having money sitting in your checking account is asking for it to be stolen every single day, every single month, every single year, as inflation hacks away at your savings account, devaluing your net worth. You're actually far better off spending money sitting in your bank account today and now to grow your net worth. It is true that in the past, before modern banking practices, smarter and more financially sophisticated people saved their money for a rainy day. That was how you built wealth in those days, being responsible and not losing your family's fortune that was built up over generations on a wild spending spree. Savers always beat spenders and became the wealthy elites of society. These days, it's different. Thanks to banks, this is now a rat race. You have to grow, spend money, and expand your net worth and cash flow. Otherwise, if your money isn't moving, it's being eaten away by inflation while sitting in a savings account. The purchasing power of your money in a few years is going to be far less than it is now. Even now, in the current year, inflation is skyrocketing. Homes are more expensive. People can't afford those now, and even food and basic goods are seeing exponential price increases. Despite what everyone tells you about the value of saving, you do not make wealth at a bank, you actually lose it. The second secret banks don't want you to know, I actually alluded to earlier. This secret that they don't tell you is that every bank in the world has the power to create more money from nothing. No printing press is even required. When I tell you this, you probably don't believe me, because surely only the government can make more money. Only they would have the printing presses, the legal right to make more dollars and coins. That's actually completely untrue. In 2021, banks control how money works. Here's how. It all depends how many people use that bank, and how much money is stored in the bank that wants to create more money. Let's say you deposit $1,000 in a bank. After receiving your deposit, what does the bank do with your money? Post guards around the vault and keep it there safely just for you? That sounds nice, but that just isn't how it works. If they spent all their time focused on security and storing your $1,000, they couldn't even pay you the interest rate on your savings account. Instead, the bank lends your money to business and people in your community. This is usually for people who want a loan to buy a car, buy a house, or expand their business. When they lend this money, it's at a much higher rate than 0.5%. Usually this interest is similar to credit card interest rates, something like 20%. You can see that's way more than what you're getting in your savings account for interest. That would be like if I had the only bakery in town, and it cost me just $1 to make a loaf of bread, but I sold it to you for $100. I would be pocketing a huge profit. This is exactly what the bank is doing with your money. The bank, of course, never tells you this when you're making your savings account. All they tell you is that your money is safe, you can withdraw it whenever you want, and it's earning interest. But if you can withdraw your money from your account whenever you want, how is it possible for the bank to give your money to other people in the form of loans? Taking people's money, giving it away, but still allowing depositors to withdraw money is a practice called fractional reserve banking. This is a crucial concept to understand because it is the foundation of the entire modern economy. If you don't know about fractional reserve banking, you can never become a millionaire. Banks keep just 5 to 10% of their customers' deposits to cover sudden withdrawals and give the rest away in loans. Think about this again with the $1,000 you deposited in the bank earlier. The bank can take your $1,000, then loan out $900 of that money to other people. When those loans are paid back, the total money in circulation is now $1,900 plus interest. That means, just by adding some time, debt payments, and fractional reserve banking, $900 was created and extracted from the community through loan payments. And your money is what made this possible. Your money gave the bank the ability to make $900 from nothing. The third secret is that you can act like a bank yourself and use the same strategies to make you rich. You can do this by borrowing money and then making more money by investing it. Take for example the celebrities Jay-Z and Beyonce. Both are billionaires now, but they took out a $55 million 30-year mortgage from Goldman Sachs, a bank, to pay for their $88 million Bel Air mansion. But Jay-Z and Beyonce are together worth more than $1 billion. Why would they need to borrow $55 million from the bank to pay for their house, you may ask? They have the money to buy any house they want in cash. Why purposely go into debt as a billionaire couple when so many in the country are struggling to get out of debt every day? This is because they understand the secrets of money and other people don't. It looks like they're making a dumb financial decision by going into debt, but what they did is actually financially brilliant. I will explain how. This is because of how interest rates work. Like we talked about before, when your money is in a savings account, you're losing money, and the bank is making money. So when you borrow money like Jay-Z and Beyonce are doing, they're actually turning the tables on the bank. They're taking free money from the bank and using it to buy a real asset, in this case a Bel Air mansion that's going up in value. This is because the inflation rate in the United States these days is anywhere from 2.5% to 5%. In real estate, it arguably is even higher, but that's still debated. Jay-Z and Beyonce's mortgage rate is just over 1%. So if you take the inflation rate, let's say 5%, and subtract their mortgage interest rate of 1%, Jay-Z and Beyonce are making 4% a year with free money they borrowed to live in their new Bel Air mansion. How this works is that if any money you can borrow is below the inflation rate, making more money than the interest rate you're paying on your borrowed money is considered free money. In this scenario, Jay-Z and Beyonce beat the banks and made them the money losers. You don't have to be a genius to do the same thing Jay-Z and Beyonce did to make money on your house. I will teach you now how to do the exact same thing with your money. Let's say you want to borrow $500,000 to buy a house in your neighborhood. So you borrow the $500,000 at an interest rate of 1%. You're able to do this, of course, because you're smart with money and watch the videos on this channel. The average rate of return on a savings account is just 0.5%. So you do something smarter. You buy a house that goes up in value 10% a year, or you invest in a stock or business that returns the same percentage. In this scenario, with money that isn't even yours, you're making $50,000 a year in profit, while only having to pay $5,000 a year in interest payments. That's $45,000 a year in pure profit from money that isn't even yours. When you imagine doing the same thing with hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars, you can borrow money pretty much for free. At that point, there's no reason to use your own money to pay for something when the bank gives it to you for free. This is where ordinary people go wrong. They're careful and work all of their lives to save and save, yet never get ahead. They're never the richest people in society. The richest people are the ones who take money and use it to grow and expand their lifestyle, investments, and business. Poor people are often too careful with their money. They have a defensive mindset, trying not to lose what little they have, rather than trying to grow their money. With inflation and the competitive economy, if you aren't expanding, you're dying. It's that simple. The fourth secret is that while rich people do have a lot of debt from banks, poor people have all the wrong kinds of debt, and that is why they will never become rich. Credit cards are the richest version of weapons of mass destruction, the financial equivalent of a hydrogen bomb, and they are used on the poor to keep them trapped in debt slavery. Think about it. 70% of Americans with credit card debt admit they can't pay it off this year. Those same 70% of Americans don't even have $1,000 saved up. Think for a moment about what that means. Those people aren't like Jay-Z and Beyonce. Their credit card debt isn't at all like a mortgage. They are not paying 3% a year on mortgage payments. Poor people with credit card debt are paying 20%, 25%, 30% interest on their debt. When these people can't pay off their credit card debt on time, the debt grows and becomes even harder to pay off. The sad truth is that 70% of Americans are slaves to their debt. Rather than using debt to take over and control real assets, like homes and businesses, debt turns them into a slave working forever to never get free. That's how banks and the wealthy make so much money off of everyone else. This is because people use debt to buy consumable items, like partying and travel, that go away and leave them only with debt to keep them company afterwards. They spend not realizing how long it will take for them to pay all of that money back. Poor people just don't use debt the same way that millionaires and billionaires do. Think about it. Why do the banks call you and act all friendly trying to get you to just sign up for a brand new credit card? Nothing is free. No stranger would ever call you just because they want to help you out. They want you on the wrong side of the debt equation. But because you watched this video, you're smart, and you're going to use debt more like billionaires, and not like your broke college roommate with a partying addiction. Instead of getting into debt, consider using an investment app. Companies like M1 Finance allow you to buy and sell shares in stocks, bonds, and ETFs directly from your smartphone. Down in the description, we have a link to M1 Finance for beginner investors and Webull for intermediate to advanced investors. Both are affiliate links that help out the channel when you use them. Now watch this video about what happens to your money when you don't invest, and join us again as we make you a millionaire. Good luck investing!